Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Spanning the Need. I'm your host, Anthony Spano. Today, we're going to change course and head over to the legal side. Tonight, we're going to talk to the Honorable Robert Rusu Jr., the Mahoning County Probate Court Judge in the state of Ohio. We'll talk about life, court, and politics. Got to always have those three in there. Judge, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing in these difficult times?
No, I'm doing just well. Thanks for having me, Anthony.
It's always a pleasure. We try to have a variety of different guests on the show to talk about a variety of different areas, as well as talk about what certain offices and courts do and don't do. So people understand that you work for a probate court as the judge. So tell us a little bit about how you got there and how you turned your career.
Well, that's the first thing is you said you like to get different people that like to talk. Well, you're lucky. I like to talk, so. Settle back. We're gonna have some fun here.
I have no problem with that.
Well, it's funny, when you ask that question, how did I get here? I never dreamed of being the judge. Never really aspired per se to be that. But when things happen in your life and an opportunity comes available, I was always told never be afraid to take that opportunity. And so there was an opportunity back in 2014 when there was a vacancy. I was a nobody. Nobody knew Attorney Rusu other than my clients who liked me, and that's what I did. I was an estate planning probate lawyer in Canfield. Ever since I graduated law school in '93. I started in the elder law area. I liked the elderly. I liked helping families get through tough issues with guardianships, with adoptions. And so I first started my career in law school at a 60-plus law clinic. And then from there, I got out. I went to work with my law partner, Joe Lane, in Canfield, Ohio. A lot of people know the Lane family because of the Lane Family Funeral Homes, the Lane Ambulance Company. And we focused our practice exclusively on probate and estate planning. And I did that for 23 years. And then in 2014, when an opportunity became available to put my name in to fill a vacancy, the governor saw fit that I was the appropriate candidate and I was the perfect fit. And he appointed me for about 5-6 months. Before the election and general election in 2014. And then I ran for election in 2014 and the good folks in Mahoning County saw fit to put me in office and keep me in office. And I've been having a blast, man. This is a great gig. I love it. But this is what I've done my whole life. I can't say, like I said, that I plan to be here, but looking back, everything I've done helped me get here.
And that's a good thing because it's the notion of, hey, I'd rather get paid maybe the $70,000 job and have fun at it than take $1 million job and wake up and you just hate it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, we're going through those discussions with my kids right now because they're all in college getting their careers going. And fortunately, they've listened to the old man and my wife. And we tell them, you guys got to be happy. We're going to be proud of you no matter what you do. And so we have one college graduate. We have the other two are in college now, and one is in a kind of a trade and a college. It's kind of a morph, the Power Systems Institute with First Energy. So he's doing half schooling and he's doing half skilled trades. So we're blessed. We've got great kids, and they're all doing wonderful things and just being productive. That's all we want them to do. We want them to be productive.
Well, I have to ask this question because I know everyone that's watching do you have any kids that are following in their father's footsteps?
No, but I'm trying. They don't want to hear it. You listen to a lot of people talk, especially lawyers. They'll say, "Oh, I won't tell my kid to go into the law practice." I'm the opposite. I had a great time in my law career, in my private law career. So I have one son that graduated college, YSU, go Penguins, with a criminal justice degree. And he's working for the deputy sheriff. He's working for Sheriff Green. He's been doing that for almost 4 years now. And I told him, I said, law school's the next logical transition. And he's like, nah, Dad, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be you. And I said, you don't have to be me. I said, you can do whatever you want to do in law. It's a good advanced degree to get. But he started a family. He's got 2 young kids and his wife. So they're still, getting their life together. So maybe down the road, maybe we'll get young Nathaniel to go to law school.
Well, and actually, I have to ask this question because a lawyer told me, and I have quite a bit of friends that are lawyers, that there are more lawyers per capita in the Mahoning Valley, Youngstown area than there is in the rest of the state. Is that true?
No, I don't think. I don't know that for sure, but I find that hard to believe. Mm-hmm. The unique thing about the law profession is that it's so varied. You can have a law degree, but you don't have to take the bar exam to be a practicing lawyer. So a lot of companies look for people that have advanced degrees like master's degrees. And the law degree seems to be one that a lot of people want because you know where the information's at. You can do the research, you can talk the talk, and you can help companies position themselves with in-house counsel and things like that, where you don't necessarily have to go to court. My case is perfect example. I don't really like courtroom work like you see the Perry Mason shows or the Law and Order shows. I'm more behind the scenes where we're working with families and we're trying to either keep them out of the court or we're trying to get through a tough situation, and we may need the court's guidance and oversight. But I never liked too much the actual adversarial aspect of the court. So my practice was estate planning probate. We tried to stay out of that realm.
Well, and we'll get to the probate court a little bit, but I understand that you're also well involved in the community. You volunteer for some nonprofits as well. So talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, and when you're in the law, you have to give back to the community. It's called pro bono work. I've always done pro bono work. I've always volunteered for senior organizations such as the Alzheimer's Assistance and Referral Network. I was on their board for a while. I still volunteer. I go out and talk to their support groups. I was on the Mahoning Valley Campfire Council. That has now gone away. Just recently, I've been asked to be on the Potential Development Board, the school for autistic children, K through 12. I've been involved with the Canfield Athletic Boosters, giving back to the school where I went. I was a Canfield grad. We're able to give back and do things and help organizations. You've got to give back. You just can't take. You got to give back to your community. And I love giving back to my community. I love going out talking to senior groups, church groups. I talked a lot of times to the Developmental Disability Board and their parents and tell them what to expect as their child gets older, legally, what needs to happen. And that's just my way of getting out in the community and sharing the knowledge that I have and that I've gained over all these years to make it a little bit easier for folks that are scared. They may hear, oh my goodness, I have to go get a guardianship. What does that mean? And it's intimidating when you have to go to a court for the first time, especially if you've never been to court in your life. And a lot of people haven't. They may have gotten a speeding ticket. Okay, they go, they pay their speeding ticket, they're done. But when you actually have to go take an oath that you're going to tell the truth, maybe do a background check, it's scary for people. So I'd like them to know me. I like them to know that I'm out there. I'm a regular guy, just like everybody else. I'm just fortunate that I was able to get some advanced education. My parents did well, I think, and taught me the right from wrong and all the good things to do and give back to your community. And that's what I do. So,
and that's good to hear, because a lot of people give back to the community and maybe don't know that. Some you have people that they do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. They don't like it's more of nowadays there's not much we can do other than give a little here and there, because a lot of us either stuck in the house, working from home, being teachers, working from home, and other stuff.
Yeah. That's tough. And any little thing you can do, an extra little tip here, just help somebody. Just reach out and make a phone call. Make a phone call to an elderly neighbor or just your neighbor down the street, just to say, hey, how you doing? when I do that, I feel better about myself because it just makes me like, okay, I'm doing something. I couldn't go see him in person, but 5 minutes in the car, you're always bored in the car when you're driving. When I'm driving downtown, it takes me about 20 minutes to get downtown. I'll make a phone call to, there's a very good, my mentor judge was Judge Clunk. He's 91 years old. He's in an assisted living facility. I love talking to him. The man is sharp. He's mentally right there. And so I'll call him and I'll just chat with him and just see what his day is like. And I know it makes his day, but really it makes my day.
Well, and sometimes I'll be the first one, like depending what time it is or where I'm driving to, I may make 2 or 3 phone calls from people all across the country that I haven't talked to in a while. Like, say, I haven't talked to Chris or Angel that live in New York, or see how they're doing, or a text message. And it's really weird because I'm kind of the same with you. It's like, I'll just make a call because what else am I going to do driving from there to work or going to different locations?
We get so used to that in our life that we need to fill all our time. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
And sometimes I get a little too much of filling my time, as my wife tells me.
She wants a little bit of it.
Yeah, she gets as much time as she wants. That's what married life's about, right? Happy life, happy wife, happy life.
There you go. That's right.
And I'm surprised she hasn't jumped out somewhere to say something.
She's a good lady. You know that.
Yeah, I know. So you get appointed to the probate court in 2014. So
right.
Tell us a little bit about the probate court and what kind of the things they handle and what do you guys do and services that you provide to the county so people understand what goes on behind the scenes.
Sure. Well, the funny thing is that most people don't know about the probate court. But if you look at the statistics, I guarantee you at some point in time, you've had or will have a dealing with the probate court. It's because we have so many dealings in so many different aspects of people's life. When you think of court, you think of plaintiff, defendant, I'm suing somebody, or they committed a crime. Well, the probate court is totally different from that. We deal with life issues, we call it. So we deal with when someone passes away, the estate aspect. We need to transfer assets from your grandma to her children or to the grandchildren. We deal with trust administrations. That's very similar to the wills. We deal with guardianships of adults and minors. So if you have a elderly aunt, she's getting Alzheimer's disease, and she can't take care of her own medical decisions, she can't take care of her own bill paying, you could come down to the court and petition me and ask me to take care of those affairs. I make you do some training. I make you post a bond so you don't take advantage of your aunt. And then you report to me on a yearly basis to let me know how she's doing, what you're doing for her. And then before you spend any money or make any decisions, you have to get the court's approval. So I look over those requests that you ask on a daily basis. We do name changes. We do marriage license. If you want to get married in Mahoning County and you're a Mahoning County resident, you have to come to my court and get a marriage license. You used to have to do a blood test. That was back in the 50s, the 60s. Yeah. That was for public health reasons. They didn't want to be spreading diseases, especially with the COVID going right now. That's kind of the same reason. They didn't want pathogens being spread with husband and wives, so they would make them get a blood test. They've now done away with that. Thank goodness. I don't want to do that. But you would have to go to the health department first, get blood tested, and then show the results to the court. The legislature did away with that. But you have to come down and prove to me that you're a resident of Mahoning County, that you have not been married before, or if you've been married before, that you properly got divorced. I've had a couple people that have tried to obtain marriage license and they haven't been divorced from their first or second spouse before. So we check into that, and we also check to make sure they have the proper documentation and their information coordinates with what they're saying. We don't want people assuming an identity from somebody else.
Yeah, that's understandable.
So we do the marriage license. We do adoptions. That's one of my favorite things that I get to do. I get to make forever families. We have a lot of children in the foster care. And there's people out there that will open their homes, open their hearts to these kids to make a forever home. So We do adoptions, and I've started an annual Adoption Day celebration that this year is going to be its 7th year that we've done this. I started it my first year when I was on the bench, and this is going to be number 7, and I love it. It's a great opportunity to bring awareness of adoption and the benefits of adoption.
Well, and that brings up a good point is I served on the Mahoning County Children's Services Board for 8 years, and that was one of our purviews was foster families and in that area. And the things that people don't realize that social workers do, people may say social workers are bad. No, they're there to help.
Yep.
They're there the best they can for as little pay for a master's
for as little
degree.
pay as they get. And they really, the people that I work with at CSB, with Randy Moots, Teresa Panko, Sarah Picaro, these are all good ladies that just care so much about these kids. They want to get them into a good forever home, somebody that's going to give them stability, somebody that's going to give them love. And any way I can foster that, we're doing. So that's our Adoption Day celebration.
Well, and the funny part, it's not a funny part. So my parents adopted my sister from Russia. Probably, let's see, I was 14, 20, 25 years ago. She was 4.5, came over from Russia. In Trumbull County. And because I'm originally from Howland, Warren area.
Sure. And
we adopted a Russian, love her to death, Valerie Harper. She'll love that probably.
Hi, Valerie.
And we adopted her. Now she's married with one kid already. And the kid's gorgeous.
Yeah, and you have a
blonde
sister.
Blue eyes.
Your parents have a wonderful daughter, and you made her life whole, where she may not have had that in her life. So that's great, and she has somebody that she can relate to now.
Well, she'll yell at me, but I think that's a brotherly love thing.
Oh yes, my sister yells at me too.
Yeah, but the funny part about that is when my mom and dad did it, then there was a domino effect of other families in the area that started actually adopting Russian child.
Yeah, once again, it demystifies the system. Oh, you did it. Well, tell me a little bit about it. Oh, okay. And then they see, oh my goodness, this little girl is a beautiful little girl. She has so much to offer. And then people start opening their homes. And that's the idea behind this Adoption Day celebration, is to get people to maybe come down. Now, this year, we can't have them come down. But I'm still having the celebration. WFMJ has been wonderful. We're going to turn it into like a little bit of a TV show. We're going to show from start to finish what the whole process entails. And we're going to play it. We're going to make that available at the beginning of November, because November is National Adoption Month. You probably remember that from your days at CSB. So we're just putting that together now. It's going to be fantastic. But before I would open up the court, I brought it out into the rotunda. We had hearings out in the rotunda to let people see what it entails to do this, so they could get an idea like, okay, it's not so bad. This is something that we could go through. And I tell people, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Not me, not anybody. You just have to be willing to love and open up your heart to this child that you're bringing in. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs. But I have that with my kids. We've got good days. We got bad days. We've got just ho-hum days. That's life. Life is ups and downs, and you just make the best of it.
Yeah, and with those adoptions comes a lot of responsibility for you as a judge, determining if that's the best course of action. And what are other things? What are other things that kind of put you in that hole that really is a complicated thing as a probate judge?
Well, yeah, there's we have to look at the statute. There's a very specific statute that we have to follow and look at the pros and cons. We have to do home studies. We have to have somebody really get into this adoptive family's life, and they get, we find out about their finances. We find out about their medical health. We find out about their mental health. I need to know all that, because I don't want to place a child in harm's way, because this child, a lot of times they're younger. Sometimes they're older. Sometimes they have their own special needs that we have to make sure that we're making the right fit for the right situation. CSB does a great job of setting and screening individuals. So it makes my job a little bit easier, but I've got to make sure that they're doing their job. So I'm their check. And then once they come to me, I make sure that best interest of that child is always paramount in the proceedings.
Yeah, it's something that is a very hard thing to make. And I remember sitting in CSBs hearing a variety of different things that you just never want to hear.
Sure.
I mean, you read them in the paper as well, and
the ones that you even read in the paper, that's not even the tip of the iceberg. That's like the little top of the ice, just the little fraction. Abuse is happening every day, and it's horrible what some of these children are going through. So when we can get them into a good, stable, loving home, it's a win-win for us as a community. It helps the children, and then the families have a benefit. They get a lovely daughter or son that's going to be part of their family forever.
Now, let me ask you this: has there, since the and we'll type in a little bit more about what probate does, but has there been an uptick, or have you seen any increases or decreases of cases like that because of the pandemic?
Well, I wouldn't see too much of that. That'd be a question that you'd have to ask Judge Delick at the juvenile court, because she deals with the abuse, neglect, and dependency cases for children. I only see it once they get past that stage. The children have been removed from the home, and now they're coming to me to be placed into another home for a permanent adoption. So I can't say. I don't know, because that happens way before I get involved. I know from my end, our guardianships kind of were down a little bit because of the COVID issue, because the agencies weren't able to go out and do some of the background screening and testing that they needed to do. So we had a little bit of a lull. Now we're starting to pick that back up, and we're doing adoptions, and we're starting to see them come in, because the state has finally said the caseworkers can go back out and start going back into the homes and doing those assessments.
Yeah, and that sums up a lot of what goes on behind the scenes that not many people know about, but you'll read when something happens.
Right, exactly. And just to follow up, the other stuff at probate court that we do that nobody really knows, and they're like, oh my, I didn't know you did that. Registrations of birth. If you give birth at home, you don't get a birth certificate because the child was not born in the hospital. So you have to come down to probate court. You have to prove to me that the child was born, where he was born at. You have to witness the time. I have to issue a verification of birth so they can get a birth certificate. So
Let me bring you some video of it happening.
Yeah, no, I don't want any video. They just have to sign some affidavits and tell me when the child was born. We also do, a lot of people don't know this, that as the probate judge, I have appointing authority to certain boards. One of the boards that I appoint to is the Mahoning County Board of Developmental Disability. I get 2 appointments to that because a lot of my individuals under guardianship have come through the DD board. So I get 2 appointments out of 6 or 8 appointments. I get 2 of those. So I appoint 2 people there. I'm the sole appointing authority for the Mill Creek Metro Parks. A lot of people think I run the park. I don't run the park. All I do is I appoint members from the community. It's a volunteer position. I pick the right people that I think are going to make the best decisions for the majority of the people to run that park and keep that gem going, because that was established by Bonnie Rogers over 100 years ago. Yes, we want to keep that financially secure. We want to keep it in as pristine a state as possible. And that's becoming difficult. Just the cost of everything to maintain. We've got a huge park. I think it's the largest metro park in a metropolitan area, second to Central Park in New York. So we've got a big swath of land right in the city of Youngstown. But now we've expanded out into Boardman, Sebring, Struthers, Canfield Township. We've got a big footprint, and we've got to make sure that stays accessible to as many people as we can. I also appoint if there's vacancies. Yeah. I also appoint if there's vacancies on a school board. If a school board loses a member and it goes past 30 days, and the school board can't fill that position, They have to come to me, and I have to make that appointment. If there's a vacancy in a township trustee out in Boardman or Canfield Township or Austintown Township, if there's a vacancy, the remaining trustees can't agree. They have to come to the probate judge and get my appointment, and then I appoint somebody. So it comes with a lot of great responsibility to be in this position, and I take it serious. No. That's why they have an executive director. He is well educated in horticulture and park management. That's their job. The park commissioners oversee him, and I think they're doing a great job. There's a lot of good stuff happening in the park right now. A lot of improvements that needed to be made over a lot of years that haven't been made, and we're making good stuff happen over there.
That's good. Now, I want to ask a question, and I wanted to ask this a little bit earlier, but I didn't get a chance to. I wanted you to just quickly address, I know last year it was a roadblock. You said, hey, we make mistakes and everything like that. Is the Ohio Supreme Court issued a public reprimand for conduct. Could you just kind of explain what happened?
Yeah, that's something that is. It's in my past. I don't hide from it. It was a misinterpretation that I had of the rule that says judges who have been involved as lawyers in cases before they became judges can't hear those cases again. The way the law was written, it said I cannot sit in a matter of controversy in something that I participated in previously. Like I said earlier, when we started, probate, there's not a lot of controversy too often. Most of the times you're trying to help somebody get through a certain part, guardianship or adoptions or something. So I misinterpreted that statute, and quite frankly, all my colleagues in the state of Ohio have done the same thing, because the way it's written, let's say, for example, Tony, you need to get guardianship over your mother. I helped you get guardianship over your mother 20 years ago when I was first starting my law practice. I helped you get guardianship. Well, then I became the judge, and you're still your mom's guardian. Now you come in front of me and you say, Judge Rusu, I need to pay my mom's nursing home bill because she's at Shepherd of the Valley. I need to pay her phone bill because she likes her phone and play her games on her phone. And I have to approve that as the judge. I have to make sure that it's fair and reasonable and nobody's being taken advantage of. Well, you and your sister agree, hey, that needs to be paid, but you got to get the judge's approval before you do it. Well, I didn't think that was a matter in controversy. You and your sister weren't arguing about it. So I would just make sure it was fair and reasonable, making sure your mother wasn't being taken advantage of. And then I approved it. And I did that on a lot of cases. I did that on like 200 plus cases. Some of the things that I did was just sending out notices saying, hey, you have to file your guardian's report on your mom because it's late. You're supposed to file it once a year. Well, the Supreme Court says that's still a matter in controversy. So they said I should not have done that, and they told me don't do it again. It's a public reprimand. That's the only thing that the state can do to reprimand judges and say don't do that again. There's no other process that they can just call me up and say don't do that. We have to have a formal system. It's transparent, and that's the way that our Supreme Court tells judges don't do those things.
Well, go ahead.
No, I said if you read the decision where the Supreme Court said, they said most of the things Judge Rusu did was administrative, sending out letters to old clients. Now that he's a judge, tell him to do the right thing, but they still said it gives the appearance that you could favor somebody. There was no controversy, but the Supreme Court says we want to keep that division. I accepted that ruling. I told him I misinterpreted. That's my fault. We make mistakes. We move on.
Exactly. And I appreciate you talking about that. And I know
sure.
I just wanted to bring it and just ask the question because I know everyone thinks of stuff like that. And we make mistakes.
Hey, we don't. That's the only thing that I didn't like about it. When you make a mistake at your private job, your boss calls you in and says, don't do that. That's a reprimand. unfortunately, as judges, we don't get that privilege. The whole community knows about it. That's how they do it. I would prefer that the Supreme Court calls me in privately and tells me that. But hey, we make mistakes. We learn from them. We move on. And so nobody got any special benefit. Nobody got any special treatment. It was just a misinterpretation of the statute.
And that happens. There's a lot. I mean, you hear a lot of things that laws were misinterpreted everywhere. Right. I mean, everywhere. So,
well, I've helped a lot of my colleagues because they're like, oh my goodness, Rob, but for the grace of God, go I. They've done the same thing. And now we have some clear clarification. And I'm sorry I had to be the guinea pig, but if that's the good thing that comes out of it. I've helped a lot of the other 87 judges in the state, so they don't have the same issue.
Well, and that's a good thing that you're helping on that, and you accepted responsibility. So, and that's great to hear.
Yep, that's it. Accept it. Move on.
Exactly. Well, now we're in 2020.
Yeah.
And as
it's a heck of a year, man.
Yeah. As probate comes around, like any court or anything, March comes around. And now what do we talk about? The pandemic. And so how did it hit you guys as the probate court, and what have been some of the challenges that have been going with just the probate court itself, or just what you've learned and kind of done over the last, we're in this 6 months.
Yeah. Well, when it first happened, we were all like, what the heck? And we were all scrambling, and that's coming from the Supreme Court down to my colleagues at the common pleas level, even down to lower courts in the municipal and county courts. We were all just like, what do we do? Nobody has ever gone through this before. This was all new. So it almost seemed like every 24 hours, we were reinventing ourselves. We had to do something different. We had to do this differently. We had to restrict access to this. So at that beginning, April, May, June, there were a lot of late nights. There were a lot of phone calls back and forth between fellow judges, between the Supreme Court, trying to figure out what the heck to do. We knew early on that closing was not an option. We got that from our Chief Justice, Justice O'Connor, and she said that, we are essential. Especially what probate does is because I'm dealing with life issues here. I'm dealing with guardianships. I'm dealing with adoptions. I'm dealing with trying to get estates money for people through from their parents, maybe to them. Maybe that's how they were paying their bills during this pandemic. I couldn't just say, hey, I'm shutting the door and, we'll worry about that in 2 or 3 months. So what I had to do is quickly figure out a way to keep my employees safe. I can't do anything without my employees. My employees are, everybody's going to say this, but mine are the best. They make me look good. They do all the tough work. I'm just steering the ship. I'm just telling them, hey guys, we need to go in this direction. And they go, they follow me. I think they like how my managerial style is, and they believe in me. So I tell them, I'm not going to put them in harm's way. We're going to stay open. We're going to be smart about this. We're going to use common sense, but we're not going to panic. And they did. Every single one of them have held in as troopers. We put up some plexiglass. We've limited the amount of people that are coming in the door. We still are open to the public, but we've tried to say, hey, call down, schedule appointments when you have to come down for marriage licenses, do things over the telephone as much as possible. I allowed the attorneys to start filing things through fax or by email, which has turned out to be really nice. We found out we were a little concerned about doing that before the pandemic, and now we realize, that's not so bad. We had to do it.
Everything
so now
electronic.
It's not so bad. I'd like to do it a little different way, but we didn't have the money to put some things in place. But it's working okay. We're doing a lot of video hearings. I was fortunate. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I was working on a video presentation program that I wanted to make some of my court hearings available to families from out of state so they could call in and view like the adoption day proceedings toward the end when we finalize it, and it's a big fun event. I was working on this, and it was, quite frankly, it was $15,000. I didn't have that in my budget. So I was trying to get some grants and working on opportunities. So I had this presentation put together. Lo and behold, the coronavirus hits. The Supreme Court says, hey, guess what? We're going to open up a new round of grants. If you can send in your request, we'll get them processed right away. I sent my grant application in. I was the second in the state to get approved. I got that $15,000 at no cost to any taxpayer in Mahoning County. And now we're doing a lot of virtual video hearings. And it was just good timing. That was a good thing that came out of the corona. It sounds weird. Something good comes out of the corona, but it did. And now we've got that system in place. It's been used multiple times in a day. And it allows people to be part of a hearing where they don't have to travel downtown or they don't have to travel across the country to get to a hearing that they want to participate in.
Well, and I think that I remember seeing a story about it where you were doing, I think it was one, a family was getting to adopt a child. And yeah, instead of doing it inside the courthouse, it was done over a Zoom call or the software that you had. So Correct. You had multiple people attend.
We did. My system's called Life Size. It's not Zoom. It's a little different than Zoom. I have to be very careful because the things that I handle sometimes has to be HIPAA compliant. One of the other things I do is I do the mental health hearings for individuals suffering from mental illness that have to be hospitalized because of that. So we couldn't go into the hospital to do those hearings. So I had to get a system that was HIPAA compliant, that was secure, that nobody could hack into. And this Life Size system is actually used by Major League Baseball to conduct their meetings remotely. I didn't know that when I was looking at it, but I've come to find out about that. I say, hey, I'm like Major League Baseball. We're pretty good, and this system's been working wonderful. And
all you need is a salary like a Major League Baseball player.
Yeah, I wish we had those big salaries. But then comes the big headaches, with the players and the personality. Yeah. So yeah. But that family wanted to put
me out in left field.
Put me in, coach. I can play center field, right?
Yeah.
No, the family we did via remote was an interesting situation. The gentleman and his wife were adopting. The gentleman was an attorney in Youngstown, and he was adopted about 30 years ago in my court by Judge Woodside at the time. And he wanted to do the adoption for the second daughter on the same day. It was Good Friday that he adopted the first daughter on a year before. So there was some special meaning there. All the paperwork was done. We were just waiting for the day, and that's when the coronavirus hit. So he said, I don't want to postpone this. It's too important for us as a family. Can we do it virtually? And I said, sure. We got the new program. He was the first one that we did the hearing. It came in. It worked great. All of his family was all over the United States. And I think we had about 50 people on the television screen that we could see, and they could hear us. And it was different. I can't say it went perfect, but we rolled with it, and it was a good time.
And that's good to hear. Do you think this will change the way you do court probably in the next couple of years?
Yes. It already has changed us. We're doing some, I don't want to say non-important hearings. We're doing some of the minor issue hearings. We're doing them telephonically. We're doing them video. We found out that it's working. We don't need to bring people down to court on some of these minor issues. When there's a major issue, there's a big controversy. Yeah, we got to bring them down. But name changes are a good example. You want to change your name from Anthony to Tommy. No. As long as you're not doing it now, but as long as you're not doing it for some illicit purpose, that's fine. We can do those hearings via telephone. You just have to go through a series of questions to verify who you are, why you're doing it. You've already presented me all the paperwork. We published it in the newspaper. We've been doing those by a telephone. I can see us going forward we're still going to do social distancing. It's easy to do. Our courtrooms, even though my courtroom is probably the smallest in the county building, we can still spread people out. Why not do that? Especially with cold and flu season coming around. Spread them out. It just keeps people further apart away, less chance of contracting anything. So, yes, I think we're going to be seeing changes, and I think it's going to be here to stay. Are we going to continue to wear masks? Some people say yes, some people say no. To me, I don't care. If people feel more comfortable wearing them, I'm fine with it. It's just whatever your comfort level is with it. I think we do enough social distancing in my court that you don't have to, but I certainly don't make anyone feel uncomfortable if they want to wear it. I'll let them wear it.
Well, and I think we just have to, like you said, we don't know what's going to happen in the next, I would say, 2 months, 3 months, next year. Will we have a vaccine? Will we not? Will people take it? So I think that it's all, like you said, it's all how we plan on dealing with it every day.
Being smart. I think we're going to have it until next spring. I don't think much is going to happen in the way till next spring. By the time we roll out a vaccine, we get people to get through this. And that's maybe when we'll start seeing some sort of a plan on how to get people vaccinated and get them through the system. The most vulnerable, we got to hit those vulnerable people first and then work backwards. It takes a lot of planning. I just know what it takes to plan my court. I have about 15 employees, and just to get stuff done in my court takes a long time. I can only imagine from a state level and then a federal level, just all the pieces and parts that have to come together.
And I think that brings the creativity of how dedicated your staff is.
Absolutely. Knock on wood, not one of my staff has contracted the coronavirus. We've been fortunate that way. I've been there every day. They've been there every day doing yeoman's work. And I'm so happy and I'm so proud of them. I tell them that every day. I got a great staff. They joke, they laugh. We're a big family. I tell them we're one big dysfunctional family. We, sometimes we get on each other's nerves. A lot of times we fight, we bicker back and forth. But at the end of the day, we always come together and we always get the job done, and we always make sure the people of Mahoning County are served well.
That's good employees when you can bitter back and forth and have fun with each other.
Oh yeah. They like ribbing the judge, and the judge likes ribbing them back too. So
hey, if you can give it, you can get it back.
There you go.
Let me ask you this: you just talked about a little bit about how you guys have changed during the pandemic, and we talked a little bit about people wearing masks, not wearing masks. Do you think the role of social media has really played a role in misinformation?
I think media in general. I don't think it's just social media. I think it's media in general. We're in this news cycle. It's you have to have the instantaneous. You have to have the information instantaneously. Well, I feel as a leader, at least of my court, I can't make an instantaneous decision. I have to sit there and I have to deliberate on that. I have to look at the pros. I have to look at the cons. With media, because it's out there so fast, a lot of times you're either getting part of the information, you're not looking at the other side. You have to give it a little bit of time to let it play itself out. Now, certainly sometimes there's emergency decisions that need to be made, but that's my thing is people sometimes forget there's a bigger picture out there, and they get sometimes very narrowly focused on one issue, and they don't think of the side issues that you have to think of with these issues when they happen. And, well, if I do this, what's going to be the trickle-down effect or the domino effect? So that's where I think media sometimes does us a disservice because it's available so quick and so readily available to us. If people could read it and say, okay, that's interesting. Now let me wait to see tomorrow if there's a counterpoint to that or another fact comes out. and then you can make a proper decision. But the news is under such pressure to get it out first because they want that readership. They want those advertising dollars. They want people coming to their blog or their website to get the information. They got to get it out. They're pushing. And I think that sometimes hurts. And that's why people get frustrated at the courts because it takes so long. Well, it takes long because we have to have everybody on a level playing field. Everybody has to know the other side, all the facts, all the documents, and you get back and forth. You get arguments back and forth. You get motions back and forth. Then we have a hearing. We try to work it out. And then if not that, then we go to a trial. So that takes time. And that's where a judge has to do that. He has to take, or she has to take all that into account, weigh the pros and the cons, and then make a proper, valid, rational decision based upon all the facts that you have at that particular point in time.
And I think that that's a great point, because nowadays you don't know what's true and what's not.
No. Well, people just think because it's on social media, it's got to be true. Well,
exactly. Hey, it's
not true. Yeah.
World's coming. Yeah. I mean, to a point, there are some reliable sites.
Yeah.
Reliable ones. There's a lot of fact checkers, which I wish people would check a lot, but I agree. Let me ask you this. So we're now in the pandemic. We'll probably, like you said, we may be in it for the spring of next year. What are some of the plans moving forward in the probate court over the next couple of years that you have planned to kind of build on what you've already done?
Oh yeah. That's my bellywick. I love that. I love thinking new ideas, new solutions to the problems that we have. Right before the pandemic hit, I was working on my Guardian Angels program to get folks to go out to the nursing home, to get them to go to the group homes, to get them to go to the assisted livings, and some of the independent living facilities, just to check on my wards, just to see how they're doing. And those were volunteers. We were getting them trained, and then the pandemic hit. And so they couldn't go in any of those facilities. So we had to put that on hold. We started that program with the YSU students up at YSU. And I had a lot of early retirees saying, I'm bored. I want to do something. I want to give back, to the community. So I said, would you like to be a volunteer guardian angel? And they said, sure. What does that entail? I said, you go out, you check on somebody that's in a facility, make sure that what's getting reported to me on the annual report is true. So we have that. I'm in the works right now with the YSU computer department to work on a computer program. It's an app for your phone. So if you're appointed guardian of your grandma or your mom or your aunt, you can keep in touch with the court and tell me how they're doing. Every time you go to see them, you can fill out this app that's on your phone. You can just check it, few questions. You fill it out right while you're meeting with your grandma or your mom. You fill it out. It comes to me automatically. And then I'm getting more updates on your ward. And it makes me feel better because I know you're going to see them, which you're supposed to be doing anyway. But it also keeps me in the loop of what's going on in their life. If there's something changing, then I'll know about it. If something bad's happening in the facility, you can let me know before it gets to a bad point. We've been working with I've been working with recently with Second Harvest Food Bank in creating some boxes of staple food, emergency rations kind of a deal, where if there's some folks, some seniors that are shut-ins that they don't have access to food, we can get them a box of food pretty quick. And Mr. Iberis at the Second Harvest Food Bank approached me about that, and we're working on that right now. We're at the early stages of that.
And they've been pretty busy the last 6 months.
Oh, they have been. But let me tell you, that organization is top notch. That thing runs like a well-oiled machine. The credit to the staff over there and to Mr. Iberis, because they're doing fantastic work feeding so many folks in Youngstown in the Mahoning Valley that didn't have access to food during this pandemic. And they've done a great job with the National Guard. National Guard, too, has done great.
Yeah, the governor has issued the National Guard to help out, because there's some people, because normally a lot of the volunteers at the Second Harvest Food Bank, and maybe they can correct me if I'm wrong, but are senior citizens. are people that are retired that give their
Yep.
time during the days, and it's got harder because they can't go because of COVID at the time.
Right.
They were very high
risk
to get that high risk.
Yeah. Yep. So those are some of the little things that, there are big things that we're working on. I've been, I want to increase my mental health court. I have a court that I implemented called Fresh Start Court, with folks that come out of the hospital after being in the psychiatric unit. We want to let them know that there's people out there that care about them. We want to keep them on their medication. We follow up, and we make sure that they have the services available to them so they don't relapse and go back into the hospital, because a lot of those folks are on Medicaid, and that costs us as taxpayers money. So if we can keep them out of the hospital, we can keep them more stable in the community. They're better community members. They're working, they're adding, they're contributing to society, and their life doesn't get interrupted as much and go back to the hospital for a relapse. So that's something that I will continue to do. I love that court. That court is doing great work for folks in Mahoning County. Trying to think of one of the other things real quick.
Quite a bit.
Oh yeah, hey, you can't sit still. You sit still, it's like the Tin Man. You'll freeze up, right? So if you keep moving, you'll stay loose and limber. The last thing, one of the things, not the last thing, but I'm trying to get marriage license. Everybody needs a copy of their marriage license, either to prove to their insured that their wife or their husband is on their insurance plan, or to get a compliant driver's license with the state of Ohio. So we're trying to come up with a printable marriage license that you can print right from the comfort of your home that will be accepted by the state as proof that you were married. So we're working with our IT department right now. Yeah, it's going to be really it's pretty advanced, and there's only one other county in the state doing it, and that's where I got the idea from. And it's down in Greene County, Ohio. I know the probate judge down there real well. He implemented this, and I'm just trying to get my IT people to talk to his IT people to make this happen. So we're going to make that happen and make it a little bit easier. Nobody wants to drive all the way downtown, pay to park, come through security, to come to the probate court to get a copy of their marriage license. We can do that remotely. It saves us time because we don't have to stop what we're doing to make a copy for these folks. Not that we mind, but it's still an interruption in the day. The folks don't have to come down and waste their time driving downtown to get a copy. They can print it right from their home.
Well, and I think that's one of the key factors right now. Of the pandemic has, in some areas, has shown some of our vulnerabilities of what, like, hey, we never knew this until it happened.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I know, like, for example, like there are certain things that you want access to online, but so how does that change your mentality of like, hey, now we got to go electronic. Now I got to spend money, but it may help in the long run.
Well, the good thing is that I was always about making my docket online. And I started that the first year I got in office back in 2014. I made my docket online immediately. So you can go to my website and you can click on the court docket and you can put in your case number or your grandma's case number, and you can see everything that's filed in that case number, because I want people to know what's happening in their case. Because a lot of times there's some lawyers out there that will blame the court. Oh, the court is holding this up. Well, if they can see it online, they can say, wait a minute, you haven't even filed it. It doesn't even show on the docket. So the court's not holding it up. You didn't even file it. You're holding it up. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to get it online. I wanted to make sure people know. The other thing is ease for the attorneys so they can see what's filed. They can go on there. They can see the pleadings. They can see when they were filed. And it makes it easier so they don't have to send somebody down to the court. So from my standpoint, I like techie stuff. I like to be advanced that way. So I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me one bit at all. It's just making it happen. I get frustrated because the IT they say, well, we got to go this, we got to do that. I want it to happen yesterday. And they're telling me, well, it's going to take a little bit longer. So we're getting there.
Well, and I think, I think that's everywhere across the state. I don't think it's not just Mahoning County or Trumbull County. It's the whole entire state of Ohio catching up with technology.
Oh, right. Yeah. And quite frankly, I think the governmental agencies were always behind technology-wise. When I was in my private practice, we had to keep up because the more tech savvy you are, the more efficient you are. You can make more money. And so I had a lot of the sophisticated methods in place when I was in my private practice. Then when I got down to the court, I realized, oh boy, the budget's limited. You can't do certain things like you can in your private practice. From my private practice, it came out of my pocket. I made that call. Now I have to be self-conscious of the budget. I owe the taxpayers of Mahoning County a duty to be fiscally responsible. So some of the things that I want to do, I can't because, like I said, just like that video conference, I couldn't take that out of the court budget. That's not fair to the residents of Mahoning County because we can't take it from another service to do that. It wasn't that important at the time. Looking back, it was that important because look what we're doing now with it because of COVID. But I got the grant from the state of Ohio that didn't cost us or the taxpayers any money.
And that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, and people that are watching, where does your budget come from? Not many people probably know that. Where does your budget? Where do you get your money from?
I get my money from the taxpayers of Mahoning County. Their tax dollars fund the court systems. And I'm part of the court system, whether that's the juvenile court, whether that's the common pleas general division where the rapist and the murderers go through, or the county courts. We get our money from taxpayers through the tax levies, through the sales taxes, through your property taxes. And so I have to submit a budget every year, and it has to be approved by the commissioners. I have the ability that if the commissioners don't find my budget satisfactory, I can order it, and I have to prove that it is valid and reasonable, and I can order it on. It's separation of powers from the legislative branch to the judicial branch. But I've got to go through a very stringent process and prove that my budget is reasonable. I've not had to do that with my commissioners. The commissioners, we sit down and we talk about the budget. We talk about what my future plans are, what my future expectations are going to be or problems are going to be. And they've always done wonders in funding the court. They see that I'm fiscally responsible. My budget actually went down a little bit after I took office because I eliminated some positions. I reworked some things. And excuse me, I was able to make some reductions in some places.
Well, that's good to hear. I know I've worked with the commissioners, and they seem to be very much on the ball when we worked with them. When we worked with them budget-wise for Children's Services Board, because we'd always have a budget meeting once a year, quarterly, and they seemed to ask. I mean, they asked a lot of intelligent questions. They wanted to know what was going on, which is perfectly fine. They have every right to do that, and they were able to ask the right questions. We were able to provide them, like you said, be fiscally responsible, tell them why our budget has increased or decreased. But Randy, the executive director, does a tremendous job.
Oh, Randy Moot does wonderful. And I want to give a shout out to Audrey Tillis, too, because she's the executive director over in the commissioner's office. And I tell you, what a smart lady. She is, I want to be politically correct here because she's a great role model for young ladies out there because she's a lady, number one, in a very powerful position. She's Black as well. So she's setting the tone. She's helping those commissioners work those budgets. She's a great role model for young women out there right now that says you can achieve some great position here. And I always told her, I said, you're doing all the hard work. The commissioners get all the credit for it, just like my staff does for me. And she says, that's what I want. She says, you should know that I'm here. I'm behind the scenes doing their work for them, but she does a great job too. So I want to give a shout out to Audrey Tillis, because
she's very
whenever
good.
I ask her for something, she's right there, and she's like, Rob, I think we can do this, or, you're going to have to wait it a little bit. And as long as we keep open lines of communication and we talk, she'll try to accommodate me. I'll accommodate her, and she knows I'll work with her, and vice versa. So we have a great relationship.
And I think you have a great point. And when you have teams working together, the biggest definition should be done is communication. As long as you have both sides open, talking doesn't mean you have to agree with each other. You just gotta. It's like find the same. You all want to go the same route. You just are getting there two different ways.
Two different ways. Yep. Well, it's very simple. I could come in with the demeanor. I'm the judge. You're going to do what I say, and that's it. I could do that. But that's not going to help us get to the end result. So I come in and say, hey, how can we make this happen? How can I help you? Can you help me do this? And we'll get to there. And like you said, we just get there from a different angle. Yeah. Sometimes it takes longer than I would anticipate. And that is frustrating. I will tell you, sometimes it's frustrating. But then when it comes through, I'm very happy. And the taxpayers should be very happy, because we're doing the right thing for Mahoning County.
Well, and that's great. And I won't bring up what happened Tuesday night.
Tuesday night was
the presidential debate.
That debate. I thought you were talking about the Indians. That was horrible.
Oh, no, let's not. No.
That was just absolutely horrible. Yeah, I'm an Indians fan. I'm a Cleveland fan. I die with them. Diehard Indians fan. Diehard Browns fan. Die with them every year, man. It's getting old.
Hey, all I know is, for the record, we won a championship in my era.
That's right. We did. Yeah. Thank goodness LeBron.
Yes. Whatever he can do in LA, we have a championship. That's all that matters.
Well, I think Nick Chubb's our next savior. So let's hope Nick Chubb keeps running that football.
Hey, we're 2-1.
That's it.
Hopefully,
we're going to win a record.
Coach for a year. And I won't get into that. No, but Judge, I appreciate you taking your time. Are you interested in a little Q&A from some people that have submitted some questions?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
So first question comes from Kristen. Now, I don't know where these people live, but these are just questions that they filed.
Sure.
Kristen's question is, Judge, you've been in as judge for the last 6 years. What is your best memory or your best career memory that you've done the best job?
I think I've got to think back a little bit.
That's a good question. What's your best?
That's a really good question, because, there's a lot of cases that I handle in the 6 years that I've been doing this, and I can't believe it's been 6 years already. It's people
You're
told
only
me
39.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're going to stick with that. I remember back to a situation where we had a young lady. We got a telephone call from a concerned neighbor, and she was living in some pretty rough conditions. And we were able to mobilize a force. And here's something talking about relationships. That's one of the things that I felt that I've done when I come in as a probate judge. I've built a lot of relationships with a lot of different agencies in the county. The Mental Health Recovery Board with Dwayne Picciarelli over there and his fantastic staff. The Mahoning County Board of Developmental Disabilities and Bill Whitaker and his staff. I was able to get this young lady almost immediate help. We got a telephone call and we were mobilized within, I want to say probably 4 or 5 hours. We got somebody out there to check on her. We got her some food. We got her in a stable housing situation. And we were able to get some services for her that she didn't know was out there. She didn't have eyeglasses. Her teeth were getting pretty bad. They were starting to fall out. And she was just living in bad conditions. She didn't know there were services out there for her. So we were able to get that. That's a good win there. There was one situation I remember with my Fresh Start court. We had a young mom, had some mental health issues. She got picked up in she had her kids down at the park, and the car was not up to standard. It was an older car. She didn't have the money to fix it, and they ended up towing the car. She ended up losing her job. She ended up losing custody of her kids because she got a criminal charge out of that, and she had a breakdown, and she ended up in the mental health system. And we were able to. I told her, I said, if you trust in the system, if you believe in me, I'll believe in you, and work with me, I'll work with you. We were able to get her stable. She was able to get a job. We helped her get her car out of impound. She got her kids back, and she showed to the juvenile court that she was doing what she needed to be doing to take care of herself and her kids. And that was a win for me. It may not sound like a win to everybody, but for me, it made that lady's life changed, and she was happy. She got her kids back. She was trying to do the right thing, but she just got caught in a tough situation. We all make mistakes, man. We've got to learn from them. And that's what I told her. I said, you can't put yourself in this situation again. You had your one strike. You're not going to get a second strike. And that was 3-4 years ago, and we've not had that lady back. I hear she's doing well. She's gainfully employed. She's a productive member of society. Her kids got their mom back. And that would be those two kind of stick out.
Well, and I think, like you said, it's a little win, one day at a time. And I know this statement may not hold up for this one, but it's like a random act of kindness.
Yes, that's it.
And just you want it, like, I know you want to help, but sometimes you don't know how to help.
Right.
But
that's
then
what
when
I
you
think
can
all of us do this for.
Yeah, and then it's like, hey, you know what? I can do this. Like, someone calls me, Tony, I need this. Well, you know what? It doesn't take me a minute to call up someone I know, or someone through a variety of different, like, community that I know that could do something good.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that Hope Foundation does pretty good work too.
Hey, if it wasn't for the volunteers, the board, and all that, like you said, it makes us look good. We still do a lot of work, but they're there to support, and what they do, tremendous job.
Yep, absolutely.
This one is from Rick. What are your plans? And you might have already answered this. Yeah, I need some water. My goofy cup.
Oh, yeah, Goofy.
So Rick says, what are your plans to improve the probate court in the coming years?
Technology. Technology is number one. Always upgrading, looking at different things to save money, save expense for the folks. Information. I really want to update my website. I want to make it a lot more user friendly. Right now, it's a little clunky. We're kind of pigeonholed into what we can do because of the program that the website's on now. I want to make that more streamlined, a lot easier. That computer program that I told you with that I'm working with YSU, it's called, it's a computer app. I think that's going to make things a little bit easier for the folks. And then me getting out and spreading the word about what probate is, not to be scared of it. We're trying to demystify that system and make it a lot easier for people to have access to the court. That's what it's about, have access to the court. Education. They need to know what the court does, why we do it, and easier way to get there so it's not so intimidating.
Oh, and that's a great answer. I mean, you're trying to improve what you're trying to improve.
Yep.
Judge, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know a lot going on, like you said, with pandemic and just doing everything. You're always welcome on this show. We hope to have you back on the future for more updates on what your court's doing.
Well, that's great. Monday starts early voting, folks. So get out there, exercise that right to vote. I hope you will consider me and keep me in there, and let's keep this great stuff going. But just get out and vote. That's important. Get yourself educated.
I forgot about the election.
Yeah. It's only 30 days away, roughly 30 days away.
Well, I think because I'm so mystified, like I'm sick of watching commercials. I'm sick of watching a lot of that stuff. And then what happened at this past Tuesday was no.
Yeah, like you said, that was just that's embarrassing all the way around. Grown people should not act that way, especially grown people that want to run our country should not act that way.
I have no comment on the issue.
Well, I do, and I can. But it's sad when that happens. But get out there, exercise that right to vote, and be listening to. I got some radio commercials starting. I think you'll like them. I got some cute little radio commercials. It's a lot different.
The Geico commercial. They like the Geico commercial.
It's a little corny like that, but I think you'll like them. They're a lot different than some of the negative stuff that you're seeing. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I totally understand. Well, everyone, thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Check out other podcasts, interviews, and videos at anthonyvspano.com. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. We'd be happy to have you for any announcements or interviews that we have coming up. Next week, we have the mayor of the city of Youngstown and Aaron Bishop, the health commissioner, for next week. And we hope to have more guests upcoming. Be safe, God bless, and have fun, everyone. And just good night.
Bye, guys.